You're listening to On the Road, a law enforcement journey. Hear from those currently on the force while getting an insider view from what it takes to become a law enforcement officer.
Welcome to episode number 10 of On the Road, a law enforcement journey. I'm your host, Jeremy Tormala. First off, I want to apologize for being late on getting these recaps out. It's been a really busy couple weeks, and I do not have a guest again on this week's show. I'm going to stop making that a goal of mine, I guess, because it's really hard between my schedule and other people's schedules to try to find a time to get on and record something. So that being said, if something works out and I can get someone on, I would love to do that. If not, I'm still going to use this as kind of like documenting my journey through the academy and life afterwards, which will probably be a little bit easier to get more people on once I'm actually done with all this stuff, because my time will be a little bit more open to things. So today's episode, we're going to have a recap of week 5 and week 6 of the police academy. Our practical segment's going to focus on interpersonal skills, and then our fitness segment's going to be more on endurance training and how to maybe come up with a plan for that. So let's get started. So week number 5, this is the fun stuff. It's starting to get a little bit more busy, a lot more hands-on and practical exercises for us, which I really like, because that's how I learn things, is by doing hands-on compared to staring at PowerPoints and stuff like that. So now that all that general stuff is out of the way, we're getting a lot more into the meat and potatoes of things. So, oh boy, where do I want to begin with this? Week 5. All right. So Monday, I'm always going to start off with PT. Our PT session, we did buddy drags, which I really liked. My quads were absolutely fried afterwards. Like when we were doing our stretching, I mean, they were just cramping like no other. They have not been that torched in a long time. I really liked it. A lot of fun. And that is a very practical fitness exercise. And it's very beneficial, especially for any type of first responders, especially law enforcement. You never know if you're going to have to drag somebody out of there. And the way to prepare for that is by actually doing that. We did some sprints and other things like that to put your usual push-ups, jumping jacks. We were told then afterwards we were going to have a diagnostic MCOLS fitness assessment on Tuesday and Wednesday, so the day after, which initially was like, oh crap, well, why did we just kill our, fry our quads and we got to do a diagnostic? But as the day went on, it wasn't really a worry of mine. And being diagnostic, it's not a make or break, so just to see where we're at and where we need to improve on. After PT, we had firearms all day, and sad thing was this is our last week of firearms until I think April, which I really like firearms. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a blast to shoot and learn tactics and stuff like that I didn't even learn in the military. Firearms, we revisited using the Glock to make sure we maintain fundamentals and stay up on maintaining accuracy and being able to switch from your dominant to non-dominant hand, that type of stuff. So we got to shoot more rounds. Loved it. Didn't lose anything. If anything, I love shooting because it's not only because it's fun, because it's good to see if I'm maintaining or if I'm getting any better. We introduced shooting the rifle primarily from standing, kneeling, and prone positions. Some instances were drastically different from what I learned in the military, mainly the standing position. It was hard to get used to, but now that I'm a little bit used to it, I understand the practical side of things, and it's actually a lot easier to shoot that way. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. The afternoon, we did room clearing, so learning how to cut the pie, similar to stuff we did in the military. But in the military, we primarily used a rifle, not a Glock or your sidearm, your pistol. Again, this was quite a bit different from the last time when I learned how to clear rooms or clear buildings in the military. So let's get into what I mean by that. So standing with a rifle, how is it different from my time in the military? Well, in the military, whether it be a machine gun, your M4, it was always staggered stance. So I'm left-handed, so my right foot would be forward, staggered stance, the buttstock of the rifle would always be in the shoulder, and then my head canted to the side with one eye closed and tip of the nose to the charging handle. That was the way we were always taught, regardless if you're kneeling, standing, or prone, nose to the charging handle. You should have a black mark across your nose that'll tell you, be a good indicator if you're doing the right things. So the big difference for us shooting from a standing position is being completely square, which makes sense because your body armor is pointing forward. You're not leaving anything open or being an easy target to be hit. Parallel stance, squared off. The rifle, the butt stock of the rifle is no longer in the shoulder. It's more towards the center of the chest or just slightly off to the side. So the rifle comes up. So you don't have to move your head at all. You're bringing those sights to your eyes. There's no canting of the head. I mean, there's a slight bit, but not nearly as drastic as what you see with the staggered stance or your traditional rifle shooting. Both eyes are still open, and you're looking straight down the sights. That was really hard to get used to, especially having the buttstock not in the shoulder. But after doing that a couple of times and then actually being able to fire some rounds down range, it was a lot easier to maintain sight picture and hit the same spot. Now, the primary reason of why teaching this is when you're moving, as our instructor said, it's more natural. We walk in an upright position. So why would we teach people to shoot in a standing position and move with your head canted and you're leaning off to the side? Makes sense. Just got to practice it. I really enjoyed it. Made a lot of sense to me. And after trying it, again, got used to it a little bit. Still going to have to work on that on my own time. Cutting the pie. So that was the other thing. So we were doing in the military, the way we cleared buildings and cleared rooms was your typical pretty much a bum rush. All right. So we would line up on the wall. One would open. So before even the door would open, you do like a shoulder squeeze. So everybody's hands would be on the person's shoulder in front of you. And when you're ready to go, you just squeeze that person's shoulder. So the lead person, as soon as they felt that hand squeeze, the door would be open and you just be bum rushing that room. One would go off to the right, one would go off to the left, etc. You'd repeat that pattern until everybody was in the room. Now looking at things, if somebody's in there with a gun, it's free range. People are bum rushing the room. You can shoot them all as they start coming in. Not exactly the most tactical things. It worked. It definitely worked in the military, but from our firearms instructors now, and this is where they learned it from the military, so things have probably drastically changed since I've been out for over 10 years now. But we are learning now how to cut the pie. So I'm just going to use an example of, say I'm walking, me and a partner, and me just going by myself. I'm walking down a hallway, and there's a door on my right. Now, this bodes well for me because I'm left-handed. If it was the other way, the door is on my left-hand side, I would be going to my non-dominant side. So my right hand would be having the pistol. But we're going to go door on the right-hand side. So as I start getting to where I can see inside the room, I'm going to slowly, you let my eyes take over the room, all right? So I'm going to do a small step. I'm going to lean off to the side, claim whatever I can in the room as far as eyesight. I'm never going to let that go. I'm going to take a small step and repeat until you're moving from the right side all the way to the opposite side of the wall, and you can clear as much as you can. Now, we did practicing of this, and I definitely identify several targets before they even see you. We did this during a well-lit room and also a dark-lit room, so we had to use our flashlights. But that made a lot more sense. You're not putting yourself wide open to be an easy target to be shot at. And again, the best thing is you can identify targets before they can even see you. So we can go, whether someone's sitting or standing, like, hey, you in the corner, stand up with, put your arms up, put them on top of your head, turn around, face away from me, follow my commands, and etc. You get them out of the room that way. Makes a lot of sense. A lot safer, a lot smarter. Again, the military's probably changed to that method because, again, our instructor said that's where they learned it from. So Tuesday, day number 2, PT, we did running. Trying to remember, did we do that? Excuse me for a second. We're at, PT test. I'm getting ahead of myself to week 6 here. Vertical jump and sit-ups for the test. Now, interesting is I haven't been able to do much weightlifting. My vertical jump still improved by about an inch. and my sit-ups improved. I went from 42 on my pre-entry test to 46 on this one, and we don't do sit-ups that often for PT. So it just goes to show there's some carryover, some exercises, but the big thing, as long as you're staying active and you're physically training, you can maintain some aspects of it. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more in fitness segment about endurance. It's very specific, so you still have to train specificity to an event to make sure you improve on that. But that's all we did for PT on Tuesday. Then we had subject control / defense tactics all day on Tuesday. We did takedowns, weapon suppression with a pistol. So revisiting how to take a gun away if a subject's holding onto a weapon or they're trying to grab onto your weapon. In the afternoon was a lot of one-on-one battles. So one's an officer and one's being a subject, and the officer has to get the subject on the ground and handcuff them. It sounds a lot easier than it actually is. So Tuesday morning, we were doing inside takedowns. I wasn't going that hard. And doing one time, so inside takedown, you put somebody in a bear hug, you bring their hips to them, so you take the breath out of them, and then you use a leg and you trip them, they go backwards, and you land on top of them. Did it very slow to learn it, and as soon as it hit the ground, I felt this burning sensation on the side of my knee shoot all the way down my shin. And I was like, well, maybe it's just a fluke thing. So we kept doing more repetitions, and it did not get any better. Still felt that same burning sensation. I still participated in all the other takedowns that we were practicing on. We were doing hip tosses. And we went to lunch. Lunch, I really started to feel it to the point like it hurt to walk on. I could not put any weight on it. So I had to sit out a lot of the afternoon, the one-on-one stuff. And had to watch because I couldn't even march. Like we do our heavy left foot marching, I couldn't even march. It just shoot pain all the way down my leg. So immediately my thoughts start going, oh crap, how is this going to affect the rest of the academy, the exit tests, the exit fitness tests and stuff like that. So that stuff started to stress me out a little bit. So tried not to, did a lot of icing and staying off of it while watching everybody else as best as I can so I can still learn that way. Nighttime, knee felt worse. Wednesday morning, there's no way I was going to be able to half-mile shuttle run. I couldn't even jog hardly. But Tuesday evening, we did criminal law for 2 hours. I'm not going to talk much about criminal law because it's exactly what it is. It's just 2 hours of going over all the laws and different charges and understanding the elements of each of those crimes. It's just a lot of information to have to take in, but understanding how to differentiate between first degree, second degree, all that stuff. Like I said on previous episodes. Wednesday for PT, we did diagnostic for the testing of push-ups and a half-mile shuttle. Again, I didn't do the run, but I did the push-ups. My push-ups still even improved. I went from 51 to 53. It's only two reps, but that's fine. I was happy with it. I have no doubt that I'm going to be able to pass the exit fitness test. Not even a concern of mine. The big one is just making sure my knees healed and recovered so I can give a better effort at that. We had a health and wellness class, and it's interesting. Maybe I'll make an episode more on this because there's so many myths surrounding nutrition. That's what our block of instruction was on how to watch what we're eating and good things to be eating as law enforcement officers. Now, the big myth I'm going to talk right now about is protein intake, because this was even brought up during our class, and I've heard it so many times, is 1 gram per pound of body weight to gain muscle. Completely bullshit, completely false. Somebody's pushing that on you. I won't even listen to it. The big reason why proteins become so huge in fitness industry is because of the supplements. It's $1 billion industry. Think about it this way. So say you're a 225 or a 300 pound person. All right. Do you really think it's going to be feasible for you to eat that much protein in a day while still trying to get your fats and your carbs? Fats and proteins both make you feel full. If you're eating that much, how much carbs do you think you're going to be eating? Carbohydrates are your number one source of energy. Common sense, that's pretty stupid to do. So one of the guys even said, well, I get that way by taking supplementing protein. Exactly. You're spending money to get to use the supplements. That's what they want you to do. So if you're a sedentary person, you don't do much activity, you need 0.8 grams per kilogram at least of protein. So what does that mean? Take your body weight in pounds, divide it by 2.2, then you take that number, times it by 0.8. That is the bare minimal for protein that you should be consuming on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you're trying to gain muscle mass, as we told all of our athletes through my 8 years of doing this, is anywhere from 1.2 to 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein consumption to add muscle tissue. Fats is easy. Fats, you go 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So for me, I think I'm like 65 kilograms. So 65 grams of fat, and 3 to 5 grams if you're strength training per kilogram for carbohydrates. Might need more if you're trying to put on weight. So I'll save that for a different episode, but just generic stuff right there. A lot of the stuff you see online, fitness magazines, stuff is completely BS because they're trying to sell you something. That's why they're pushing all that stuff. Wednesday, we did more firearms. We did transitioning from the pistol to a rifle, which I really liked because we use dummy rounds to simulate having weapons malfunctions, or we shoot till an magazine's empty. So say in your rifle and then have to transition to using your sidearm. That was a lot of fun. Afternoon, we did more room clearing to stay up on that. Crime scene investigation was the last 2 hours. We did practicing of searching areas, so going through proper search procedures, using the quadrant grid, all that stuff, and then using photos, how to take proper photos and documenting a crime scene. A lot of fun, practical, very hands-on, very much related to police work, so I enjoy that type of stuff. On Thursday PT, we did, it's our last day of week, so we only had 4 days on this week for week 5. I had to do brisk walking, so my knee was a little bit better. It was probably like 55, 60%. I could walk, still limp, but everybody else was running outside. And let me tell you, one way to feel like a complete D-bag or an idiot is everybody else is running laps while you're walking. I felt like it was humiliating, felt embarrassed about it, but it is what it is. Could still do something. So, and I wasn't trying to get on anything. Again, my background, I love fitness. I love training. So if I can't do that, I'm not going to be a happy person. Rest of Thursday, we did classes on cultural diversity, sexual harassment, and a big one, which we'll get to our practical segment, is interpersonal skills. So learning, again, all of this is how to be able to engage your community, relate to people, make changes in your community, not beating your chest, writing people tickets, and abusing your badge. You're a difference maker. You're there to serve and protect your community. They should be able to get to know you. You should be able to get to know them. So that's a big aspect of that. Then our last 2 hours, we did criminal law again. Same thing as I said before. Lots of stuff, preparing for the next exam coming up, which is for us now because it had to get moved, is coming up this week. Week number 6, trying to find my notes. I had to write a lot of this so I don't go all over the place. I wanted to make sure we kind of stay on track as best as we can. So give me a second here. Oh, that's week 5. Week 6. Here we go. So Monday, my knee was about 70%. I could actually do like jumping jacks. I got up and I tested it. And it's like, well, sweet. I tried to do a little bit of a jog. That was fine too. Didn't feel any pain with that. If I still push on the area, definitely feel it. So I wasn't going to be able to sprint or do any of that stuff. So for PT, we did 300 jumping jacks. And did we feel it the next day. 300 jumping jacks, a lot of it because we weren't in sync with each other. So stuff like that. Then we ran pretty much 2 miles, nearly 2 miles of doing laps in the gym, which my knee was fine, held up. It was mainly the turns where I'd start to feel it. Then we did Michigan traffic law all day, which sounds like it would be dry, but it was very interesting to see what's actually legal and what's not, what you can write people for and stuff like that. Because again, like with fitness and nutrition laws, you hear all these different, you can't do this because it's law. And you're like, I actually know it's not. So to be able to find out that type of stuff out was very interesting. One way our instructor helps with all this is scenario training. So we have a bunch of scenarios on paper, and we have to go through our law books and our traffic codes and find out if there actually anything you can cite these people for. That's the best way to learn, be able to make it practical and apply it to things you're going to come across. Boy, did we do anything else? I think that was it. All day long we did traffic law. And then we did, the last 2 hours, I think we did more criminal investigation. So learning how to dust for fingerprints, and then doing casting, which was interesting. So casting footprints and tire prints. It was interesting to see how quick that casting powder and stuff starts to harden on you. So it takes a little bit of trial and error to get the perfect mixture of water and casting powder. Mine did not go so well. So, but it was still fun. Tuesday, we ended up having a snow day. So I got all the way to the academy, and from Muskegon, so where I was, the roads were clear, the roads were fine. So I didn't even think we'd really have an issue with having classes canceled. Where the academy is, I know they were dealing with a lot of ice, and I didn't know that it was that bad until I actually got there. So when I was pulling into the academy, I ended up going off of the road through a little snowbank, missed a stop sign, and into the yard of the academy. I got to the parking lot, and it was sheer ice. I mean, my car I wasn't even on the gas pedal, just sliding to a parking spot. It's like, holy crap, this is not good. And a couple of the other recruits are sending pictures and stuff of them literally can't get out of their driveway, or one was stuck going up a hill, couldn't get anywhere. Needless to say, our director made the decision to cancel everything for the day, which was a smart way to go about it. We weren't happy just because it means we have to reschedule it and make it up, which is going to be this coming Friday for us, our makeup day. So Wednesday we did for PT sprints, runs, more push-ups, jumping jacks. My calf still hurt. My knee was actually feeling a little bit, it wasn't feeling any better. And I think because of my calf muscles were so sore and tight, it really restricted my mobility for my ankles. So when that happens, you're definitely going to feel it in other joints. And I think that was why bothering my knee quite a bit. Was still able to make it through with everything. That's fine. I'm not using my knee as a crutch. It actually feels near 100% right now as we speak. So I'm excited about that. Needless to say, I'm not going to go full out on subject control or DT, because the last thing I want to do is re-injure my knee or make it worse to where I get booted out of the academy or I can't participate. I'm not going to let that happen. Wednesday afterwards, we did 4 hours of subject control, defense tactics. We did a lot of going over the basic stuff for our practical that's going to happen in April. So practical stuff, check on learning, doing a lot of everything at slow speeds for myself, especially the takedowns, because any type of rotationary movements was bothering my knee. As long as we were doing like straightforward, so if I can squat, lunge, I could do that with no issue, but it's the rotating where it really bothers my knee, because it's the ligament. It's my LCL, your lateral collateral ligament. For those who wonder what the LCL is, it's where it attaches your knee to your fibula. And any type of ligament or tendon injuries take a while to recover. There's not a lot of blood gets to the area, so it's going to take longer for that to recover, and you're always using those joints for movements. We did also removing people from a vehicle, which was really fun to see how challenging that can be when someone's not cooperative or you need to get them out of vehicle, and the procedures for doing that. Again, it's just tools for a toolbox. When you're real life and stuff like that, is it going to go that smooth? Hell no. But at least you have something to kind of resort to if you need it. Then we did more traffic law. Again, that was fun. And we had traffic law, and then we had a practical exam for crime scene. So being able to do the search warrant procedure, take crime scene photos, and how to properly bag or store evidence, and then going over the tabulation and return. So making sure you're leaving the proper documents, at a house or the rooms that were searched and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. Made time go by really fast. Thursday we did PT, push-ups, lunges, jumping jacks, squats, all the typical stuff. Then we had subject control again. This was a pretty fun day because we were doing knife suppression drills. So if somebody pulls a knife on you and you're going hands-on with them, how to get the knife away as best as you can without getting cut or stabbed in your torso so much. Again, it's if shit hits the fan, it's never going to go smooth, but it's trying to do the best that you can without getting yourself seriously hurt or killed. We did more gun stuff too, so taking a gun away from a subject who's pointing at you, whether from behind you on the side or from the front of you. And more one-on-one. I was able to participate in this. I did from kneeling position, so basic physics here. So you shorten a lever, it's less stress on the system. So going from a standing position to a kneeling position is a lot less stressful on my knee. And I was able to still participate on that. It was the same things. One has a knife, one doesn't. So you're the officer, get the knife away from the person and try to get them and cuffed. So we have 30 seconds to do so. It is all out effort, very exhausting, but very fun still. It was a good time and a lot of lessons learned. So each time you do that stuff, you're learning more. What could I have done better? And what I've really learned is I'm a smaller guy. Pretty much everybody in the academy is bigger than I am. So pressure points, very effective. So if I'm going like the first 5-10 seconds, someone's in a mount position on me and I'm trying to, take one of their arms out so I can use my hips to roll them over, and that's not working well, I'm going straight to infraorbital. I'm going right to the mandibular angle behind the ear, or I'm elbowing that femoral. And let me tell you, that stuff does work. So never underestimate those. Practice those. They are very effective. Not on everybody. Some people, it does not bother them at all. But I mean, it doesn't cost you any physical exertion on your part to literally take your elbow, dive it in the femoral nerve there, and have them literally jump off of you because it hurts. Or you take that your pinky and you drive it right into infraorbital. That's not a fun experience either. Anything that buys you a couple seconds to be able to go on to another tactic, it's all learning experience. Again, subject control or going on one-on-one, those combative type situations is all a chess match. Who knows more than the other person does? And if you don't know more, you try to do stuff that that's the most practical and most effective, instead of trying to waste your time trying to do things that you don't know how to do or that doesn't work. Oh boy. All right. So that was Monday. Oh wait, that wasn't Monday. I'm an idiot. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. That was Wednesday. Thursday. Oh no, that was Thursday. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. Thursday, we also had in the afternoon more interpersonal skills. So doing scenario training. This was a lot of fun. Us being able to act out as annoying, argumentative people, and other recruits had to respond to our situations. And the whole purpose of interpersonal skills, which again, this is our practical segment, is being able to use language to de-escalate a situation instead of having to pull out a gun or a taser and stuff like that. It's very, very beneficial skills that everybody, especially in law enforcement, should possess. Again, you're not there showing up at a scene and being a complete dick to everybody. Like, that's not going to do your department, you, or the community any good. So if that's how you are as a person, you really need to work on your communication skills. And that's one thing I really liked about my background in strength and conditioning is it's the same thing, requires good people skills. If you're not a people person, you're not going to last in the industry at all. Then we had to finish it off, criminal law. Friday was a fun day. It was a long day. Speed measurement. So we had our practical, our field exam to get radar certified, and we had our written exam. It was interesting how the day started. So there was actually, while we were waiting for the doors to unlock to go in the academy, the state trooper was there already, and his truck goes down the road, goes off of the road into someone's yard. Trooper goes over there. The driver tried to use fake name. It was his brother's name. So the name he tried to use, that guy had warrants out for his arrest. The real name of the driver also had warrants out, and then the passenger of that vehicle also had warrants out. So it's just like, what a crappy day you had. You hit a slick patch, you go off the road, and it's right in front of a police academy, and you have a state trooper coming right up. It's like, oh shit. But kind of interesting. That's how the day started. exam was nice. Once we got familiarized with using the radar and all that stuff, the written exam is much easier because you understand how everything works. And that's pretty much what the field exam is, being able to identify vehicles or things that are going to affect the radar or the operational area. So you pick out bigger vehicles compared to smaller vehicles, and understanding batching, spurious reading, shadowing effect, and how to set up a radar properly, and understanding of cosine. Pretty easy day. It was just long because there's, you got to do small groups of people. So while other people are going, you're sitting there. Again, it's what you make of the time. So a lot is either studying or watching scenarios, real life stuff on police responding to situations, and then kind of seeing from a real life standpoint on how things can go south and what we would have done differently. So that's week 5. Week 6, it's going by super fast. Again, I got no time for anything. I do want to give a shout out to my wife, and other people probably can attest to this, whether you're at academies elsewhere or the other recruits that are going through it with me that have spouses. They do a lot. Like, our days are busy. It takes me an hour to go each way, and then we got 12 hours of being there. So 14 to 15 hour days for myself. But my wife she's pregnant. She's 8 weeks pregnant, has to take care of our 1.5-year-old all day, while on top of trying to get all the household chores, so laundry, dishes, cooking meals, all that stuff. It's a sacrifice on her part, and a lot of time doesn't get to go out and do stuff like that. So right now she's out shopping with her mom, and it's nice to be able to be here to help. So you're here all week, go do something to de-stress, and just get your mind off and be able to relax. And it's hard on my point too, because being gone all along, it's not fun being away from your spouse and your kid all the time. It's right now, it's just the nature of what it is to be able to provide a better life for my family. It's just a couple months of embracing the quote unquote suck. I'm not saying this has sucked. It's been a phenomenal experience. I am glad I did this. My biggest regret is I wish I would have done it sooner. So if you're going through that, I cannot stress it enough. If you have that calling, you feel it like, well, I really want to do this, but I don't know if I can. You're dreading the academy or stuff like that. Do it. You are going to you're going to learn so much. You're going to get put in crappy situations. That's how you learn. But you're going to go through it with a lot of other people. That camaraderie, which I miss so much in the military, I have that with all the people right now in the academy. It's just nice to have that familyhood of going through it together. You're never alone, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I have nothing negative to say. Our directors, our instructors, everything's just been great. It's just the sacrifice that comes with it, and it's only temporary. Just like with going through the military academy, the thing with that with the military was you didn't get to go home every night. It was 7 days a week, 19 weeks under somebody, constant supervision of drill sergeants and stuff like that. So that was a lot harder in that aspect. But I also didn't have a wife or a kid at that time either. I didn't have a significant other either. So it was just myself. A lot easier to go through when you don't have anything like that. So let's just get to the practical segment. And this is on interpersonal skills. So I'm not going to give you an exact definition. Everybody pretty much knows what this is. I touched on it. Interpersonal skills is your ability to effectively communicate with people. And communication isn't just speaking. So it's verbal, not just verbal. You got nonverbal, verbal, and then your body language. So what's interesting about these is I don't remember the exact percentages. So, but it's around this range. All right. So I think it was 7% of communication comes from verbal, very small. Nonverbal makes up 38%. And then your body language, I think it was body language makes up 55%, which is huge. So just your tone and your body language can mess up your actual message in a heartbeat, because the verbal is only so small, but still the context and how you say things can either escalate or de-escalate a situation in a heartbeat, which is why it's so important to practice these skills. So what I mean by that is, like, there's a difference between your tone of voice. Going, like, somebody says, "Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going?" Like, that's not a very friendly or attitude, or people are pretty much going, all right, well, who pissed in your Cheerios today? Like, all right, well, I'm not going to talk to you. But if someone's, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm doing well. How are you doing? How's your day been going? Stuff like a lot more friendlier, more inviting to speak and communicate, compared to having your crossed, the arms crossed is what drives me nuts when people do that. And I've seen it in the strength and conditioning community, and I see it too with law enforcement. Of you're talking to people with your arms crossed. That there is no way to show a quote unquote more aggressive type of body language than standing there with your arms crossed. You are gonna have people not speak to you either friendly, or they're not going to give you as much information because they're not going to. You're showing a closed off stance, whereas you're open, engaging, friendly. Those things are so important, especially when you're dealing with people of different cultures. Uh, again, I'm going to strength and conditioning and all that stuff. We got people, Russia, Finland, all that stuff. If they come into the weight room and their expectation is, oh, there's going to be this jackass meathead standing there with his arms crossed, yelling and screaming and blowing a whistle. Not fun. It's not a good way to communicate. I was never that type of person, and probably why I didn't last in some areas like the collegiate environment, because that's just not my personality. But when you come into the room and you're like coming from a different country and someone's there, hey, how's it going? Oh, well, you're from Finland. How's your family? Like, tell me about that. Like, what's the major difference from Finland over here when playing sports or when it comes to training? It's like, oh, holy crap! Like, this person actually wants to know about me and know where I'm from and like what my beliefs and my values are. Like, those are difference makers. Being able to, like, if you're a cop, go into a situation and talk to people of like what's going on, or why did you act that way, or how does that make you feel? Like, just small talk type stuff to get people to open up to you. That's huge. You can't put a price on that. When you got, I'm just going to go back to life experience here, but you got somebody fresh out of college who hasn't dealt with many of those situations. And especially, I was young and dumb too. So when I was 18, 19 in the military, you think you're invincible and you think you're top shit, walking around beating your chest. Oh, because I said so. Don't be that person. Don't ever be that person. One of our instructors teaching his class, he was a former sheriff, and he is just a quote unquote social butterfly. Like, listen to him talk. It's so calming. Like, and that's what he said. Like, throughout my entire career, never once did I have to pull my gun out on anyone. I used my mouth to de-escalate, and it shows. That way he talks to us as a class, he's very engaging, very enthusiastic. So I'm sure in the situations of people he's had to deal with, got the same thing. Not saying you don't ever escalate or like raise your voice at people. I'm not saying that at all. But to resort to that right off the bat, you're going to cause more problems than you would if you were to be friendly and stuff. Even if people are being assholes to you, treat them with kindness. It was the same way. And again, I just keep going back on it. The strength and conditioning community is, you know, you're never going to have anybody hold anything against you or say, oh, well, he acted like a jerk toward me, if you just kill that person with kindness. And if anything, you're just going to agitate that person more, because they're not going to have any type of ammunition against you of pulling out a cell phone and go, oh, I got this cop, look how he was talking to me, because a lot of people are going to bait you into getting the reaction that they want. Don't give them that. Kill everyone with kindness. And the caveat to that is maybe you're going to change that person's mentality on how they view you or view a profession. So if you got somebody who doesn't like being around police, or they feel uncomfortable being around police, regardless of the situation, you treat them like a human being. You treat them with respect, courtesy, and kindness. And they go, holy crap, like, the media says these people are like this, but my experience shows the opposite. That's huge. You can't put a price point on that either. And that's one thing I look forward to about this career, is going out and making a positive difference in the community. I like people. I like being around people. I want them to know that, I'm here to serve, protect, and help them with anything that they may need. Like, I'm a person too. I got family. I got kids. I want to help you change your life, or whatever difficulties you may be going through. If I have the ability to help you, I want to help you. And I think that should be the goal of everybody. And I think that is how most people are. Again, it's what you see on TV and stuff. It's a very select few, and that could apply to every industry, not just to law enforcement. I mean, the horror stories I could tell you guys in the strength and conditioning in the sports industry, it is. I don't want to cuss too much, but it is a massive shit show. Like, so many of those keywords of cultural and respect, honor, integrity, and stuff like that. Those are keywords that are used so many organizations and stuff like that. But from personal experience, from what I've seen and what I've been able to be a part of, they're just buzzwords. They don't actually mean anything. Now, the organizations where they actually do mean anything are the ones that you see year after year after year having great seasons, and those coaches take care of their players and their players love their coaches. And you see that, like, when the coaches retire and the players still contacting, and vice versa. Like, those are interpersonal skills. Those are cultural diversity and stuff like that. That's why year after year they're successful. So I'll get off my soapbox for that. But I love it because you need to practice to get better at things. And the scenario training we do, so when you get to act like an idiot to make, the responding officer's life a little bit more miserable, just gives more tools in a toolbox on how to deal with situation like that. We actually did this week of having situations to be able to deal with empathy and stuff like that. And I thought it was going to be a little bit harder because they're your classmates, recruits and stuff, but a lot of people resorted to personal experiences that they went through, and it really made it more relatable or real life. Like, some people are actually in tears because, and when you're going back on real life stuff, you bring back those emotions. So that responding officer, it's just like, it's not a classmate anymore. Like, holy crap, like, this is something real. It's still learning, but it's an actual how this person is feeling right now. So that was kind of cool. You need to practice that. And that's also being about the community engagement and being in your community. That's one sure way to get better at things. Stopping by businesses and talking to owners, or just talking to people on the streets. Get better at your communication skills. Be aware of your body language and how you're coming off to cross the people. I mean, shit, I don't think it's a problem going, and asking people, what's your mindset? How do you view me? Like, what's your standpoint on how you view police officers, and why do you feel that way? So you're aware of maybe whether it be a race or whatever. I don't want to turn into racism, but like how a certain culture, what their viewpoint might be. So you can work on improving that. Again, community engagement, improving the lives of people, improving the lives of, like, your fellow officers and the department stuff. I think it's a win-win for everybody. So let's go. Our last segment here is the fitness. I got to find my notes because I made some stuff on it, especially when we're talking about endurance training. Endurance training is pretty much like speed training and some aspects of explosive strength or power training. It is very specific to what you are doing. And what I mean by that is, like, I can't go bike 20 miles and go, oh, I'm training for a marathon. You can do that like a day out of the week, because you don't want to constantly run running every day of the week and putting all that stress on your joints. But if that's your primary way of training to go run a marathon, it's not going to work well for you, because they are completely different exercises. And, one's in a seated position with no stress on the joints, and one is an upright position, putting stress on the joints, where you're having to propel yourself forward. A little bit more different in energy demands as well. So that's what I mean by specific to an event. If I need to get better at 60 seconds of push-ups, 60 seconds of bench press, it's not going to help me. I need to burn 60 seconds of push-ups. Way different. Now, you might have some little bit of carryover. I'm not saying it's completely useless, but if you're training for, say, the fitness test and stuff like that, you better be doing the fitness test, because that is the actual event. So why not use the actual exercise and train yourself for the actual event? Same thing with marathon or triathlon. Understand what's required for you, and that's how you should be training. Excuse me, making sure I don't go off on anything else. Endurance can be done so many different ways as well. I know I talked about how I prepared for the academy, and I think if other people did it, it really helped them out, is the Tabata intervals. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off between exercises. You can pick as many exercises as you want, or pair 2 exercises and do them for 8 rounds to work on that endurance. Another way would be pick 5 or 10 exercises and do 30 to 45 seconds on, with 30 to 15 seconds of transition between the next exercise. So you're keeping the heart rate up, you're keeping the muscles moving, you're giving minimal time to recover in between. Now, I don't like using slow and controlled necessarily if I'm doing endurance, because when you're doing endurance, that's not what's happening. You're pretty much doing as many reps as you can for that time. So that's how you progress week to week, is trying to keep track of how many reps you did. So if I'm doing, say, 20 seconds on a push-ups, well, how many reps did I get in that 20 seconds? And then for each set after, I want to either try to match it or do better. And that applies to the following week. So if I'm going, okay, well, I got 10 push-ups in 20 seconds, and then 4 weeks down the road, okay, well, I'm doing 30, 35 push-ups in 20 seconds. Well, there's a vast improvement from that. Again, specific. So that's how I'd use that stuff to train for the academy. Or if you're not getting much training in endurance as a law enforcement on the road, those are just some ways you can do that. And I'll get a little bit more of that here in a little bit. The endurance, again, like when you hear like bodybuilding.com, I always refer to that because that's where so many people get their information from, or from the bro science things. You hear the traditional, if you want to lift muscle mass, it's 10 repetitions or 8 to 12 repetitions. If you want to do endurance, it's 12 or more repetitions. Not necessarily the case, because you can get adaptations from all those rep ranges for muscle mass, general strength, and endurance. Endurance, I like time. And again, we talked about that. Not doing slow and controlled, just trying to get as many as you can. And like, time yourself. If I know like I need to train more aerobically, or I can do like 5 minutes of, say, 2 different exercises. So I do 10 reps a piece. So I'm going back and forth, keeping the heart rate, keeping moving for that constant 5 minutes. It's way different than training for strength, power, or speed. That's what I mean by endurance, like using time for reps. I use reps in that previous example, but going to the Tabata type stuff is never going to fail on you. You're still keeping track of your reps, but the time is the ultimate guide for endurance. So what's an example using lifting? Because a lot of this comes geared towards strength training. So here's an example of what I would do if I was doing an endurance workout. So if you're a law enforcement officer on the road and you don't get a lot of endurance type training, you could easily sub out this for your hypertrophy or your muscle building workout. So you could do maybe 4 weeks where your day before your 2 or 3 day off is your muscle building workout. Well, after 4 weeks, make that an endurance workout. So you're training different qualities, because you're still going to maintain muscle mass while you're doing this. You're not going to lose anything as long as you're still doing your strength and power type workouts. So an example would be, so I always say I always train some aspect of speed, strength, and stuff in every workout. Now, if this is endurance, speed's not going to be the priority. I'm still using speed exercises. I hope that makes sense. So here's an example. My speed block: sprint 20 yards, walk 40. Or if I only got, like, say, 20 yards if I'm outside, sprint 20 yards, walk down and back, and then repeat for as many times as you want, typically anywhere from 4 to 6 times. That rest period, it's not full. Like if I was trying to do true speed work, I would want to make sure I get full recovery. But if I'm doing an endurance block, full recovery is not what I'm wanting. So I want some sort of speed. I want still max out effort and partial recovery. So the next block would be Tabata, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Here's where I do my power work, which is usually going to consist of jumps. Again, I'm not getting full recovery in. It's repeat effort with sub-max recovery. Jump squats for 20 seconds and med ball slams. So I'd go 20 seconds on of jump squats, 10 seconds rest, 20 seconds on of med ball slams. Or you could do some other explosive exercise, would be clap push-ups or something. And I would do that for 8 rounds, so you get 4 sets per exercise. I hope that's making sense so far. Now, my strength training block, I'm going to pick 5 exercises, and I'm going to go what I just kind of gave a method of just a little while ago. 5 exercises, 45 seconds on with 15 seconds to transition in between for 3 rounds. After all 5 exercises, I am taking a 2 to 5 minute rest to allow recovery. And all of these are as many reps as possible in 45 seconds, all right? Squat, any squat. It could be front squat, split squat, back squat, safety bar squat, any of those. The main reason I'd prefer a bilateral, what bilateral means is like a parallel stance or your typical front squat or your back squat where you're not in a split stance or a staggered stance, is if I'm doing a time like this, say I'm doing like a Bulgarian split squat or rear foot elevated split squat, and I do 45 seconds on my right leg, and then I go to do my left leg, are you going to be able to put as much effort on that left leg? Hell no. That right leg is going to be fatigued as shit, even when you're using it to support yourself. That's one reason I do not like using the split stance when I'm trying to do endurance workouts. Lunging's different because you can take every step, like left foot, left foot, right foot. You don't have to worry about that being a problem. But if I'm doing a stationary exercise, like squatting or split squats, that will be a problem. So first exercise, squat, any variations. Then I got rows. Any variations could be barbell rows, dumbbell rows, TRX rows, pull-ups. If you're really good at pull-ups, for 45 seconds of pull-ups is really going to be hard. Not saying not to do it. That's one way to do it. Then I got RDLs. So I'm doing a hip, something for my glutes and my hamstrings, or kettlebell swings. You could also use hip lift variation. So I could do feet elevated up on a bench, hip lift, or shoulders on a bench, hip lift. Anything that trains the glutes and the hamstrings. Push-ups. I don't have bench press. Again, this is specific to being at the academy to improve my physical fitness or preparing for the academy. That's why push-ups. But if you're already on the road and you want to add bench press in there or overhead pressing, that's perfectly fine. Have at it. It's the same thing. And then the last exercise is a total body one that's very beneficial. It's the farmer's carry. You can do it in place or you can do it walking around. Walking around is always going to be better because it changes the direction. Now, farmer's carry is another one of those beneficial exercises because it's almost like a litter carry, or if you're having to help carry a buddy out of a crappy situation or like a down person who can't move. So that's another benefit of having exercise. Farmer's carry trains your grip strength, your posterior, your upper body. So you got your back, your shoulders, your traps, you're getting your glutes, your hamstrings. Farmer's carries are good for your hips. So that's another positive to using that. So you'd go through all 5 of those exercises, take 2 to 5 minutes rest, and you repeat that 2 more times. For the conditioning, any guess? It's the event for the fitness evaluation or your agility assessment. So for us, it's the MCOS physical fitness assessment. It's going to be the half-mile shuttle run. Again, half mile for us is 88, 2 cones, 88 feet apart. And with a big difference compared to running 2 miles or anything like that is the constant change of direction. So you're accelerating, decelerating to around the cone, accelerating, decelerating. That is a lot more metabolically demanding than running straight ahead for 2 miles. So that's why you also need to train that, because I cannot go run a mile and a half or a half mile on a treadmill and expect there to be any carryover to the half-mile shuttle run. There is no change of direction. There is no accelerating. There's no decelerating. It is vastly different. So that is what I mean by specificity of the exercise and preparing for certain events. I hope that all has made sense. I love talking fitness. So if anybody wants to know more about whether it be nutrition or training for something specific, please bring that up and maybe I'll address it. I would love to talk more about that. It's really easy for me to do that. I get to lead PT tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. So it's all about dynamic, static stretching and stuff like that. So I'm going to take all of our guys to a proper warm up and see how that goes compared to what we normally do. And I think it should be good. I'm looking forward to it because it's right in my wheelhouse. That covers week 5, week 6, all of our practical stuff. Again, all I can say is I'm loving this so far. I don't have anything bad to say. I love the people I'm going through it with. It's fun. We got diverse background, people of different experiences, from being corrections or whatever else. It's been great. It's just a lot of information to consume. I like all the practical stuff. So again, my main message for this is people skills. If you're a quiet person, work on not being a quiet person. Get out, talk to people. Do scenarios with your friends, anything that's going to help you. And if you have that calling, if you just, whether it be military, police, firefighter, if you just feel like there's a natural calling for you to do something better or something bigger in life, go after it, because you only got one life and you don't want to be on your deathbed going, oh, if only I had. Don't have no regrets. Even if you're older. So, I mean, if you're in your 30s and your 40s, it's never too late. Every academy's got You got those older population, and it's never too late to go out and make a difference. I want to thank you guys for listening. If you want to be on this show again, especially if you're a former if you're a current law enforcement officer, or if you're going through an academy somewhere else and you want to talk about your experiences compared to what they're like for mine, I'd love to have you on. Have a great rest of the weekend. God bless you guys. And I will see you next week. I will have a show next weekend, so I won't get behind like this again. Thank you for listening to On the Road, a law enforcement journey. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to be on the show, email me at ontheroadlaw@gmail.com. And please like, share this podcast. Thank you.